Hi and welcome to my not particularly professionally filmed first video for my new channel here, which is dedicated to my work, and I am going to start by focusing on the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, which came out earlier last year in 2018, published by Schiffer in America, and unfortunately I was unable to do anything about promoting it at the time because I'd had 3 disasters happen, an eviction and 2 bereavements, and so I was not able to pursue the promotion of it. But now I am hoping to give people more of an insight into the work, to share with them my intentions, and to hopefully give you a fuller experience of using the deck and book set. But this is literally just an introduction, and you're going to have to bear with me because it's the first time I've done this and the camera might zip about all over the place. It's going to take me a while to get used to it. I just wanted to get something up on YouTube so that people could refer to it. It's not going to be a work of great genius, but we can try and get the videos better as I go along. I'm not in my own home at the moment because of the bereavements, so I'm using whatever I have to hand. And so hopefully when I get more settled I'll be able to offer you better quality videos, but for now I hope this will suffice for you. Anyway, here's the box of the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, subtitled Finding Magic in the Midst of Life, and that is really the key to it. This was not my choice of design for the box, although I'm really happy with how it looks now. I just am aware that not everybody likes yellow, even though it's a lovely sunny happy colour. It might put a lot of people off, but there again, it's a warm and a very attractive box. I'm pleased with how it looks, and I hope you are too. It'd be nice to have some feedback on whether people like it or not. The thing that really concerned me was this area here, which is very particularly British or English, which is a row of terraced houses that the lady in the sun, this lovely lady here, is walking down an alleyway between 2 rows of terraced houses, which is very, very specifically English, I think, and because that's where I live. But I didn't know whether that would translate into other countries, and so I hope that it was obvious to other people in different countries what it was. I'll also refer to this sprite, this fire sprite type creature here. The thing with all of my cards is they all share an unseen being. Now, I'm aware that not all unseen beings would look this way. In fact, maybe none of them do. But you have to depict them somehow. And in order to do the best thing I could, sorry if the camera's moving about, I'm sort of gesticulating with my finger at the same time. In order to try and depict them as best I could, I tried to give them the sense that they were almost an energy, so their hands and their feet and their faces and their hair and any sort of wings or anything they have about them sort of blends into their environment. They sort of trail off in a kind of energy sort of, sorry if I'm saying sort of a lot, that's annoying me already. Anyway, rather than filming the whole video because of my repetition, I shall carry on. Yes, so they're not meant to be a specific nailed down version of what an unseen spirit energy being would look like, but they're the best I could do within the confines of this reality of trying to share with people that there is an unseen reality. I'm not saying that any being looks that way, but I had to depict them somehow, otherwise they would have just been sort of a swirl of colour or whatever, which they probably are. They're not of this dimension or reality or sphere of existence, so they, they don't have that slightly human rigid form at all. So, and that's the other idea of having the hands and the feet and the hair and the faces and every other the bits of whatever they are. They're all flying out because they're pure energy, that's what they are, but I couldn't depict pure energy, so they had to have some sort of form, and that's why they look like they do. So there we go. Also, every card has a representation, or a representative rather, of the non-human creature kin world. basically because the whole ethos of the deck is not focused purely on humanity, nor are these non-human beings, either of them or any of them, they're not meant to be just sort of props for the humans to have. They're not there because they have some sort of meaning necessarily to the human. They're there because they share our world, because they're equally important, and this deck is about the unity and parity of all beings. It's inclusive of all beings. It's not human-centric or anthropomorphic-centric or whatever you want to say in any way. Sorry, the camera's moving about again. How annoying. Let's look at something else anyway, because I am aware that I'm just blabbering at this point. Got to bear with me. This is my first video, and they will get better if you stick around, I'm sure. Anyway, here is the box. If we open the box... Whoops. If we can open the box, there we go. I haven't actually unpacked this deck yet. That will be my next video when we go through the cards. But there they are. Now, again, I didn't want borders on my cards. I'm aware that most people dislike borders intensely. So in order to get all of the visual imagery, because they're very intense, they're very packed, my cards, with visual references, which are very important. And I would have lost a lot of those references had I have had the picture going right up to the edges with no border. So I had to compromise. In order to get the full image on, I had to have a border. And so to make that as good as I could, I made the borders suit specific, so or arcana specific as well, because the majors all have a black, and then the minors have colours relating to their element, and we'll go into that next time. Sorry, I'm also a bit croaky, I'm quite aware of that. Hope it doesn't detract from what I'm saying. And okay, so there's the cards, which we will come back to. For now, I'd like to just focus on the book. The book has the same cover as the box, and on the other side there's that energetic being that I was trying to explain. And you can see there, and I missed out that the ears always sort of fly out as well. The hair, the wings, the body, they're not specific to a gender. They're just very neutral beings of energy, really, that are always there, although we can't necessarily see them with our physical eyes. So that's what they look like generally, although there are a great variation of them. If I can show you, there's one on this card here. Then my camera is not focusing very well because that's obviously doing its little head in. Okay, but we'll come back to those cards and I can show you in a lot more detail what it's all about. Okay, so the book, I noticed that there have been some videos put up with comments about there's not any details of spreads in this book. Well, I have to say that if this book had been as big as I wanted it to, the set would have probably cost you triple the amount that it did if you've bought it or will be thinking of buying it. In order to keep the book manageable for Schiffer's production costs, I had to keep it within a very tight word frame, so I had to trim down all the stories that are in the book, and I also had to cut out the spreads because I thought the stories were a lot more important than the spreads, and the stories go with every card, every character on the card, like the lady in the sun here, or the boy here in the Four of Coins, or the Fool, who is a construction worker, builder. They all tell their story, and I thought that was far more important to this specific deck than to have spreads, which you can find in any book on the tarot at all. There are no specific spreads to this. I do suggest that it might be nice to have a round, inclusive kind of spread for this deck, but I'm not going to be more prescriptive than that because this tarot can be used in a very conventional way. It has adhered to the Rider-Waite type formula, the traditional, as far as traditional goes, formula for tarot, and it can be used in a conventional way. Even though some of the suits are different names, you will know exactly what you're doing with blades being swords or swords being blades. yes, so it's precisely the same kind of situation with this tarot as any other. So you can use any spread that you're already familiar with, and if you're a beginner, this is a very easy deck to work with. That was another idea of mine. This is an incredibly easy deck because the people are so accessible and familiar and recognisable, and there are so many clues and cues in the cards. I have packed them with cues to give you much more of an idea of what's going on with the card than you would say with a conventional deck, which has got very sort of arcane imagery, very mystical imagery. This is absolutely 100% of now is contemporary deck, and you can relate to every card because you've probably seen those characters yourself in your own life. In fact, you might be one of them yourself. So it's a very easy deck to use, and it's a very easy deck to relate to the classic tarot spreads. So there are no spreads in this book deliberately because I wanted to keep the stories in, and the word count was extremely tight, so I did what I could. I'd be very interested to hear what people have to say about any of the things I've said so far, or feedback. That would be great. Yes, so the book, as I've just said, has a story, has keywords for every card, has obviously the depiction of the card, that's strength, and it has their story, and it also has the meaning of the card and what it might mean for you, basically. We can go into this in a lot more depth. It also has cards at a glance, and so there you go. As this video is meant to be short, and I'm looking at the time now, so I'm keeping it short, it was more about what this is all about rather than going into it in detail. Those can be my next videos, and I hope you'll join me for them because I will enjoy going through each card and explaining to you what they mean to me, what they can mean to you, and giving you more background and detail. For now, I just wanted to finish by saying that this deck means an awful lot to me because it comprises my whole ethos of being, really, and I think it is valuable to share that because we need it more than ever because the inclusivity of this deck. There is nobody that is excluded from this deck. There are no princesses or knights. I know that there's a huge market for that, and there's a huge need for that. People love romantic fantasy, but they don't need it, you know, to the exclusion of all else. I think it's important for people to see all kinds of wonderful, for people to see themselves, for people to see people they know as beautiful and meaningful and necessary, and this deck celebrates all sorts of people and all sorts of creatures because we're all equal and we're all one in this. We're all part of creation. The creatures are not add-ons, they are there in their own right as meaningful and worthwhile beings, and so are all the people. They're all very different and they're all very wonderful. Some of them aren't very pleasant, but they're quite honest about that, and they've got their good points. You can see perhaps why they are as they are, and they're flawed. They're flawed and they're fantastic. And that was the whole point. These are not glamorous necessarily. They're not some sort of ideal fantasy world. They are of this world, and they show the beauty of this world as well as the things that are difficult and painful, and there's everything in here. It's not meant to be glossy, and indeed it isn't glossy. Thankfully, Schiffer have given me nice matte cards, which I know is a good thing for people, and we'll look at that in more detail next video. But for now, it's really important to me to communicate that to you. I'm just going to show you the back of the box, which unfortunately has been printed the wrong way, but that will be addressed in the next print run, and it doesn't detract from the overall loveliness of everything. Now this is the back of the box before we leave. I designed this myself, so I'm very pleased with it. It gives you a good idea of what's in the box, with another one of these energetic beings here leaping. These are some samples. There's another energetic being here, and obviously representatives of the non-human world, the dragonfly, Sorry if I'm moving around too rapidly. Robin, a bee, and flowers, obviously, and another energetic being there. So maybe I'll read this to you to sum up, okay? I'm sorry if I'm moving around. I really am very sorry, and I'm going to have to move the camera slightly down so I can read it. Okay, profound wisdom is made accessible with this contemporary 78 card deck, an expansive guidebook which demystifies the traditional tarot without losing its essential magic or structure. This down-to-earth yet captivating tarot reveals the extraordinary in the ordinary, reminding you that there's nothing humdrum about the everyday. The distinctive cards depict recognisable characters of all ages, appearances and abilities, providing insights and inspiration from people just like you. The comprehensive book allows each familiar character to communicate directly, combining their story with key words and clear descriptions that invite your intuitive interpretation. This warmly inclusive tarot celebrates all life, embracing nature and the non-human beings that share our world, our unseen companions and our creature kin. Here, wild spirits and animals, car mechanics and busy parents are all equally vital, and each has something meaningful to share. These engaging individuals support and encourage you on your journey, making every day more enchanted. And the enchantment here is very much every day, hence the title. There is magic everywhere, in very small things around us, and I hope that this deck will help us appreciate the people and the other beings that share our world and are our equals. Okay, so that was my first video with probably wild swinging camera and wobbles and all the rest of it, and a croaky voice and me not being entirely sure of what I'm saying because I'm not using a script, because I like to just speak from the heart. So it's not perfect, but then it's not meant to be. This deck is not meant to be perfect. It's meant to reflect us as flawed and fantastic beings. Okay, so this is Poppy signing off. Please join me for my next video. And also, before I go, can I draw your attention to the fact that my website is defunct. It has been for well over a year, and I am in no position to get it fixed. I think it's gone for good. It's still actually up on the internet, but I can't access it or upload to it. So I have temporarily got, or hope maybe permanently, I don't know, I have got for now a Twitter account, which I never thought I would have. I will never have a Facebook, but I have got this Twitter account, which is where I update my work and where I share things that I think you'll enjoy. And now I've got this channel, so please do give me some feedback if you feel that you could. And thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that if you do have this deck or are thinking of getting it, that you enjoy it very much, because I put all my heart into it. And I hope that it has an inspiring and joyful and meaningful effect on everybody that owns it or sees it. Thank you very much for now. Bye bye, and take care of yourselves and all beings.